On the face of it, those appear like solid numbers. Everywhere you look, it's all double increases. Where did that come from? What is everybody saying? Difficult economy.
Difficult, absolutely. Difficult economic environment. We're really happy that we've been able to do another great set of results. As you said, earnings up 17%. But I think if you take a look through the cycle, we've been listed for about almost 7 years now. And if you take a look certainly through the last 5 years, we've grown earnings at about 20%. So, you know, this has been a 20% per year. This has been a very stable earnings growth business at high double figures. And if you look at dividends, dividends have grown quicker than earnings. So this year our dividends went up 29% to 27 cents per share. And since we've listed, we've been able to grow dividends at about 35% per year. So all of our business units have operated well to allow us to deliver this result. Okay,
take us through those different units so we understand, because I'm looking just at the top of it here. I'm seeing gross loans. This is on the SA Taxi side. Loans and advances up 14%. It sounds very impressive until you look at the other side, NPLs as well.
So loans and advances at SA Taxi has grown by, as you said, 14%. That's only one component of the SA Taxi business, which is our financing business.
Yes.
But we are very comfortable with the result out of the financing side. In difficult conditions, you know, NPLs go up, credit losses become in this type of environment become more difficult to manage. We've actually brought our credit losses down to about 3.4%, and we target a range of between 3 or 4%.
Okay.
So the finance activity in SA Taxi has done well, but where we saw most of our growth from SA Taxi's perspective is in our insurance business, where we are now focusing on not only insuring clients who take finance from us or other banks, but clients that are unfinanced.
Is that all of them? So when they take a taxi from you, it has got to be...
It has to be fine. It has to be insured.
It
has to be insured. With us or through a competitor, we don't mind, but they all have to be insured. So our insurance business has grown really nicely, and our retail business has also grown very nicely, where we are selling both new and refurbished taxi vehicles, but also now selling parts. Because we've got such a big refurbishment plant, we import our own parts, and we can deliver parts to the taxi industry at a greatly reduced price. So that also is pushing growth nicely for us in the taxi side.
In terms of, like, you know, what I like to guys like you is because the insight you can give to the South African economy. Now you've seen, like, you know, a few years in this industry. What do you see about the economy? What do you see about the industry itself? And what do you see about government's moves in to help, you know, taxi operators and to help taxi commuters eventually on the downstream?
Yes, so we have really good insights into kind of that commuting market, which is also the lower end of our market. And I'd like to talk about some of those insights when you talk about the other side of our business as well. But if you take a look at the taxi industry, this has grown. It's grown for various reasons. 40% of the South African population relies on public transport, and the minibus taxi accounts for about 70% of all public transport trips. The reason why taxi has grown and is such a dominant form of public transport is due to things like population growth, due to things like greater urbanization. We've seen private vehicle sales reduce by about 20% since 2013, and minibus taxi is catching most of this growth. It is not subsidized by government, so it's self-sustainable, which means that it doesn't rely on government to build infrastructure or operate infrastructure, which has allowed taxi to grow a little bit quicker than bus and train. And even though times are tough for a taxi operator.
And did you say train? You exclude the cow train, right?
Including the car train, which
are
is
you
but
faster
a very
than the cow train?
Not far, growing faster than the car train. Not faster than the
I was thinking 160 kilometers an hour.
Sorry, and then so not subsidized. Not subsidized. I have to catch what train of thought.
Please come.
Not subsidized by government, which has allowed minibus taxi to grow. You know, where government has not been able to deliver public transport infrastructure efficiently, taxis grown regardless. So you know that has really assisted the industry. Oh, the other thing is that even though fares have increased. Fares have increased and been passed on this pressure to the commuter. Minibus taxi is still cheaper than bus, a little bit more expensive than train, much cheaper than things like Uber, and more reliable and more accessible than those other modes of transport. And these are the reasons why minibus taxi in South Africa has grown. And that's also helped our business grow, obviously.
And also, you mentioned the fact that you've done stuff like was this the parts and so on, but you also have this black elite card,
Yes.
fuel card. Explain what the model behind that is.
Yes, I mean, really what we're looking to do is, first of all, transact with as many taxi operators as possible. And we do that through a finance business, an insurance business, and a retail business, and a telematics business where we're tracking vehicles and providing tracking data to our clients. But the last thing is rewards programs, where if we can get our clients and the industry to kind of pool their buying resources, then they can get something back on their spend. So we've launched this first card. We've issued about 14 cards. We call it the Black Elite Fuel Card. It's in collaboration with Santaco as well as Shell and ourselves. And this allows taxi operators to get some of their fuel spend back, which helps them do better. And of course, if they do better, we do better. That's the first program that we've launched. We look at other things like tires, spend on tires, spend on windscreens and glass and parts, etc. Hopefully to allow taxi operators to run their businesses more efficiently, and also hopefully to get a better quality taxi onto the road at the end of the day.
Absolutely, because that's where we want to go, isn't it? I was going to ask you, when are we going to see all the old Skorokoros? What did you call them? Zola Bads?
Zola Bads.
When are we getting them off the roads, do you think? I mean, without government support in an economy that is struggling to grow.
So we're very excited about the one positive fact, if you look at the environmental assessment for a taxi operator. Vehicle prices are high, fuel prices are high, but the one positive thing that helps the taxi operator is the scrapping allowance, which has now gone up to about 124,000 Rand, and it's up by 36%.
And when was that?
That's recent, over the last month.
Oh, okay.
So we are hoping that will stimulate older vehicles coming off the road, and a taxi operator can then utilize that scrapping allowance as a deposit for a new vehicle. New vehicles retail for about 450,000 Rand. So that will allow an operator to put quite a big deposit down.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen that happening yet. We are hopeful that will happen. But you are right. The age of the fleet is too old. The average age of a taxi on the road is almost 10 years old.
Absolutely. Quickly, Viv.
One final thing. I mean, this model seems to be working in South Africa. Any plans to expand beyond our borders?
So it is something that we will look to do in time. Perhaps not, perhaps certain modes of the model. So our insurance model is very exportable. I'm not quite sure if we want to be running a big finance business, up into Africa, because there are often currency mismatches. You have to, borrow money in dollars, but you've got assets in a softer currency, and that can create volatility in earnings. Yeah. But some elements, the retail, the parts procurement section, and the insurance section is absolutely exportable.
I can see you teaming up with a Toyota, for instance, and since Toyota is already exporting into Africa, teaming up and exporting those things and getting them to the taxes. Sounds like a deal to me. Time has run out. But I wanted to clarify very quickly. Did you say there were less private-owned vehicles on the roads?
Yes, so if you take a look at sales of vehicles to private individuals, since 2013, that's gone down by about 21%.
Wow, okay. And you guys are picking up the slack.
Yeah, more people moving into public transport.
David, we need more time. David Hurwitz, the CEO of Transaction Capital.